If you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. When you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That means that you will be informed of when a new video has been released. If you would like to take that support one step further, you can do that via Patreon, which is an optional monthly service. You can donate money towards the channel, or you can go over to Ko-fi.com, and for the price of a coffee you can help donate towards the channel as well. Links for all of those will be in the description of the video, and without further ado, enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to Football Coaching 101, hosted by James and Adam from the Non-League Nosh, presented by James Bloomfield, football coach in non-league football, the series in which we will be introducing you to coaches from the professional game, gaining their insight and knowledge into the beautiful game that we love. So sit back and enjoy.
Thank you for joining me, Simon, for an episode of Football Coaching 101. I'd like to go back straight away to the beginning of coaching for you. So how early on in your playing career did you take an interest in coaching? And what was it really that sort of attracted you to doing that rather than anything else, really?
I didn't start coaching till I'd actually retired. I started off just offering sort of one-to-one sessions where we just sort of concentrated on the technical aspect of the game. And then sort of other opportunities presented themselves to me. And, I haven't looked back since, really. And, something that I'm really enjoying.
So whilst you were playing, was there ever a point that you thought, okay, I'm getting towards the end of playing now? Did you consider it before that? Or was it something you just sort of football finished and then you fell into it? Did you consider it beforehand, or was it really just, what am I going to do next? I'll do coaching.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was playing in my playing days, I was always in the mindset that once I'm finished playing, I'm done with football. But obviously my career came to a premature end. And I think that's probably the reason, more so than anything, why I'm involved in the coaching side of things now. Obviously, the love for the game now is back with me, but no, it weren't something that was sort of on my priority list when I was playing at all.
No, that's interesting actually, because you do find a lot of people that do go, because you went quite quickly into coaching by the looks of it, and you do find that lots of players now, that especially more now than a few years ago, people are doing their coaching badges very early, and actually they're doing coaching badges whilst they're in the academy. They're now doing that. So once you leave football, people are sort of inclined to get into it. So it's really interesting to hear from somebody that maybe didn't intend to get into it, and then, I don't want to say fell into it, but the opportunity come up and now you're really loving it actually. So the first opportunity I've got noted here, so do tell me if there was anything before it, was Houser in Towners Academy. And how involved were you in that, and how was that first experience?
Yeah, I mean, the Houser in Town one came up pretty randomly. Someone had just put an ad out over social media, and my elder sister actually contacted me and says, "Have you seen it?" And things just sort of transpired from there, and I went in to take an initial session. And I ended up being there for, I think, the best part of 18 months after that session. So, it was really good.
Yes, got a bit of a taste for it. Did a session that you didn't really know what it was going to lead to, and ended up falling into a little bit of it was a new discovered passion by the sound of it. More than anything.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Like I said, I never really had any intention of coaching, but when you've been out of football because I was out of football for probably a year or 2 years maybe, and you really start to miss it. And my old man always said to me, I started dabbling in different things, and my old man said to me that, that you really need to stick to what you know here, and football has been my life since I can remember. So I sort of took that on board. I was still probably a little bit, not mentally there from the way my career ended. But it took its time to get there, but I couldn't wish to be in a better place where coaching is concerned now.
Brilliant. That's really, really good to hear, especially having listened through your career. And I know people listening to this will very likely be interested at the end in going over and listening through your career. So for you to fall into that now and be so keen and actually happy helping young players now to hopefully live a little bit of what you did, because some of the experiences were amazing, obviously, especially towards the beginning. The biggest thing I would ask is to go to a club like Houso in town, which looks like a fantastic setup for the level they're at, especially.
Yeah.
They're in the Bet Victor Southern Central Division 1. What were the major differences? I know there's going to be a lot, but what were the biggest differences between how the academy was set up there in terms of facilities and the coaching? And I know what you experienced was the real top end at the time at Leeds. But what were the real differences between that in terms of the players, the facilities, and the level, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think because it was I was taking care of the education program, exactly the same as what I'm doing with my own business at the moment.
Yeah.
So it is, you're dealing with a lot of grassroots players, and then you do get the odd few that could probably progress.
Yeah.
And that was probably the main thing for me. Obviously, the facilities, and when you compare it to that of a professional club, you've got at the academies, you've got so many different people there organising different things. I.e., your gym work is organised by one person, your football's organised by. So I was responsible for all of that, So
Wow.
so it's difficult. The workload's
So you were
quite high.
So you were putting the program together. You were in terms of how much they're doing. I mean, I don't know how deep they went into it in terms of nutrition and their fitness work and their coaching and the games program and that kind of thing. So you were really sort of the head of all of that, really, from minute one.
Yeah, I mean, where the nutrition's concerned, it's more a case of just explaining to them or putting it down on a sheet and handing them out, so they've got some sort of guidelines of what's going to help and enhance the performance to it's self-explanatory really, but sometimes at that age, their age they're at, they just need reminding from time to time,
Yeah, absolutely. So especially for that pressure and sort of to have all of that on yourselves, it's nice to know that you had all of that and you were still actually thriving and enjoying the fact that you were helping these youngsters in their sort of, I don't want to say their first experiences in football, because they'd probably played from 6 years old until they got to where you are. But to help them hopefully give that advice. They must have looked up to you so massively for somebody that has, like you say, had appearances in the Premier League and then really all the way through the pyramid, even down into, they could probably relate more because you had an experience in non-league football as well, because that's a very realistic target for, I want to say, all of the players really.
Yeah, I mean, with the education programs, I don't make false promises to them, because this is a long-term thing for me, and reputation is mega important. So for me, what I tell them, when they walk through the door is, we've got to be realistic, and your target should be, can I reach non-league status? If you do that, then can you progress from there? It's going to take someone very special to jump from grassroots to your professional setups, So again, I'll revert back to just that honesty, and hopefully these kids, believe and trust in what I'm saying, and that will give them the best possible chance to achieving what their dream is.
Definitely, and I'll be honest, I can really follow that advice in terms of. Myself as a coach, that's a really big sort of message I would always give a player to, especially when they've come down. I've taken players on loan from either professional or high league clubs, and they've come down to play for me at step 5, for example. My advice is always, if they're going to go back, make sure there's going to be the playing time, because the most important thing is that they play. Become the best player in your position, not just in your team, but become a top player in your league of your position, and then that you will get higher. Someone will notice that, and people talk, because football's such a small world.
Yeah,
definitely. I'm going to move on to your next role, which I've got down as Cookley Ladies.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, how was that experience? Obviously, that was your first in female football. And what do you think we can do? It's a bit of a broad question, but to improve where the female game is now, what do you think are the things that we could do to sort of help that grow and help that sort of improve, really?
This is a really difficult topic for me because
Of course.
I've been involved in ladies football, and I know how hard they work, and I see their enthusiasm for it. I think the biggest problem that the ladies have got is that whether it can be as exciting as the men's game, and by that I
Hmm.
mean men
The end
are
goal.
built physically different, and so
Yeah.
they run at a quicker pace. Their tackles are harder.
Hmm.
So is it ever
Definitely.
going to get to a stage where it's more exciting than the men's game? I don't know. And for me, the excitement is what drives the fans.
Of course.
So it's going to be
Yeah.
really difficult to sort of get to a similar level. I hope it does. I hope it does, because, like I say, I've witnessed firsthand how hard these ladies work.
Hmm.
But it's a difficult challenge for them.
It's really, really hard, and I've seen so much recently, and I know so many people have a different take on it, but I think it's personally quite. I think it's taken a good pathway, and I think it is growing, and there's lots of really good people involved now more than ever.
Yeah,
Um, but when people are making claims, which I've seen in the female national team in the USA, I've seen people even over the last month or so trying to take it to court that they should be on equal pay and that kind of thing. How far off that do you think we are? Do you think that's even ever a possibility?
I think for me that grates on me a little bit,
Yeah.
because there's just no logic to the argument. There's no logic there. It's obvious. It's obvious unless you're really thick. It's obvious why men get paid more than women. Do you
Of
know what
course
I
it is.
mean? So
Yeah.
I don't get what the argument's all about.
I
If
think
you go on, sorry.
I was going to say when you've got the number of fans that men's football has come through the gate, which is it's not our fault of no fault of our own. Like they promote their game as well as the men's game. They promote theirs on social media, etc. We do ours, but we're selling 70,000 tickets plus or whatever at Manchester United, for example, plus the
Yeah,
merchandise, plus the deals with. I mean that's nobody's fault. It's just sort of how the game's developed over so many years. So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, but what they need to be doing is trying to increase their revenue streams. Do you know what I mean? Try looking at that side of it, and
Mhm.
then you'll start getting closer and closer to the pay. But unless you've got the revenue coming in and the demand's there, you're always going to struggle. So for me, they're fighting against the wrong people.
Yeah, and to take it to court. We'll end on that conversation there. So really positive about the ladies' game. It's great. I know they've had guests on the Non-League Nos podcast that are really, I want to say, flying high in female football and growing it from the bottom all the way up to the top. It's really great to see. But yeah, I think that story there is sort of finished for a long while anyway.
Yeah,
So this, I'm going to move on to your next, I want to say, adventure really, because it's something that sounds like it was there quite quickly, is still growing and has taken sort of a massive place in your heart now, and your interest really sort of invested in the Simon Johnson Universal Soccer Academy. Um, what would you say would be the biggest thing, without going over your entire career again, because of course it's really inspired by your playing career?
yeah.
But what would you say is the biggest thing that inspired you to want to help young players progress and to start that?
I think probably the main reason why I decided to take this leap is because I wanted to afford these kids the attention that I never received when I was their age. That's massively
Uh-huh.
important to me. Because look, if some people can handle the rough times, some people can't. I'm
Hmm.
a hard coach. I'm very tough, but at the same time, I know that I need to get the balance right of showing these kids love, showing them the support they need, and ultimately that's what's going to get them to where they need to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I just think that it's a tough age for them. They're going through the transitioning from kids to men, and it's nice to have someone impartial to help them deal with that transition.
Mm-hmm. Well, as a coach, then, when you spend not all the time they're going home and they're coming back again, and they've got these dreams of playing sky high, and they're probably still holding on to a little bit of that,
Yeah,
and so they should
yeah.
keep the dream. But how do you keep them grounded in terms of this is where you are now? What kind of conversations do you have to put some, I want to say, perspective there, some realism? Do you have those conversations, or are they sort of left for them to do that?
No, I have to have them because some students or players come in with real unrealistic expectations, and so I can't. I'm not going to sell them a product that I can't deliver.
Hmm.
And so for me, it's important that I let them know that sort of at this moment in time, non-league is top end for them, and that's only if they improve no end.
Yeah.
Um, it's tough. It's tough having these conversations with them, but I just believe that if you're honest, you've got more chance of achieving what you both want to achieve. Because I want and need these players to some of them to go and play non-league. Otherwise, it's pointless me having the academy for a start.
Hmm.
But I just think, just if you're honest with them, that's going to be the most efficient way to get to where we all want to be.
Definitely. I think listening through your career, and also in terms of your intention as a coach, I think you've taken a lot from managers you've played under. Lots
Yeah,
good, and also some how you maybe wouldn't want to go about your business in terms of the honesty that you portray. Just by having a conversation with you, I know that I over the course of this time I would trust you and what you're telling me, because you've experienced the side of sort of mistrust in your
yeah,
career. And you're
yeah,
now able to share that sort of as a coach onto these players of this is being realistic. Realistically, you can actually earn a bit of a career in non-league football, and it is really, really hard to get there.
yeah,
And millions of players try, but also, you know what, if you do work really, really hard, the end goal is sort of limitless. Like you never know. But without there being a false promise, which I think some of these sort of, I don't want to say programs,
yeah.
probably do deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I hear stories all the time, and it's just not something I could associate myself with. I just couldn't do it because at the end of the day, you've got to look these students in their eye and tell them that you can deliver something for them that you know that you can't. I haven't got that. I haven't got that in
Mm,
me, So
definitely not.
and so that's the way I work, and all the lads that have come on board with myself and the academy, I hope they know that it's always their best interest at heart, always, even when I'm screaming at them, or even when I'm telling them off because they're not doing the schoolwork. It's they know. I'm pretty sure they all know deep down that I've always got the best interest at heart, and they can always come to me for anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, like I said, I think that's those things are human qualities that if you can even put part of that into the players that you're coaching, or it just rubs off on them, that I really think that's only a positive thing. And if a lot of coaches, that's really a message to coaches listening, to be honest, that if they can adopt some of that honesty, some of that, the trust you will gain, I think you can promise a player, and it sounds lovely to be able to offer a player that if you play for me and if you join our program, there's a good chance you become a professional footballer. You're
Yeah,
probably gonna sign the player, but the end result isn't going to be very good. And
ex-
sort of over a long term, you're not teaching them the best habits, and I don't think it portrays you well. So, no, it's really great to hear that.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Definitely. So that's still something ongoing. If somebody was interested, somebody listening and was interested in applying, is that something they can trial for? Does their club have to be part of the Simon Johnson Universal Soccer Academy? How does that work?
No, we hold. I don't like calling them trolls because I would welcome anybody. Yeah, so I'll just call them recruitment days. But we welcome students of all abilities because I just see it as my job to improve them anyway. So
Yeah,
we look, maybe in the future. I'm not saying we won't get to a stage where because numbers are limited, you see. So it might
of
get to a
course.
stage where we have to decide and ultimately, because you want your academy to be as high level as possible, it might come down to ability levels. I don't know.
Hmm.
But for the moment, definitely not. That's not something in our thoughts. So yeah, we
Yeah,
welcome anybody, and we have open recruitment days for anybody wishing to attend.
excellent. So that's something they can find. I've found the website on there very easily. If they just Google it, they'll find you, and they can sort of click through that way. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm partnered with an education company called SCL, who are
Yeah,
quite well respected, to be fair. And if you just type SCL Simon Johnson, I think it comes straight up as the top link.
it does. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect. So that's still ongoing. So I won't draw a line under it, but I'll say that's still ongoing. And I have got another role in there still,
yeah,
which is the first team coach at Evesham United.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Go on, sorry.
no, that is your first experience, is all I've got here of needing to win as a coach. So obviously you've had all these development roles in terms of improving the academy players and that kind of thing. So it's your first role as a first team coach. How did you find that? Did you enjoy this competitive side of it again, or how was
Yeah, I
it?
loved it. I mean, I think I got a bit too involved sometimes, screaming and bawling on the phone. But no, do you know what? I absolutely loved it. It's a great little club, to be fair. The setup's
Hmm.
amazing there. Unfortunately, the gaffer that brought me in lost his job just before COVID hit.
Hmm.
Probably is a bit harsh, considering the league position. But I mean, on a personal note, it's something that I really enjoyed, and it's something that I'll definitely be looking to get into when the football starts back up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just nice dealing with players that have a good level, and that can
definitely.
improve also.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely. It
it
looks
was sort of
really
an
good.
intriguing experience.
Uh-huh. Perfect. I've looked at it at the club and the ground. It looks like they're really sort of doing well at their level in terms of like the pitch and the setup. So yeah, fantastic. And I will move on to that actually before we lose you at the end. I've got here, so when you're looking for your next role, I'm going
Yeah.
to talk about. So in terms of the club and that involvement you have with Evesham, is there particular qualities in a club that you're looking for? Does it depend on the project? What is it that you're really looking for next?
I think they're they've just got to be ambitious, because I'm an ambitious person. I always have been since I can remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think sometimes maybe my my history in the game might, I don't know, intimidate people a little bit. Because I don't know. Because I just feel like I've got a lot to offer. So
Yeah.
hopefully there'll be an opportunity at a club somewhere in the near future.
Hmm.
Where someone's looking for a passionate person, and someone that wants to do well. And it's just got to be a
Definitely.
club that's, because your first club could be your last one, so it's got to be right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I'd consider before taking a role.
Of course, yeah, and I'll be honest, that is something I've learned. I'm in my 10th year of coaching,
Okay.
and taking a number of roles from coach to first team coach to first team manager up to step 5 in non-league, and definitely before I consider going into anything different in the future. I would definitely want to know more about the club because I've made that mistake previously. And like you say, I think there's a lot of ins and outs people don't consider. So I would certainly join your advice there in saying meet the club, get to know as much information as you can before agreeing too much.
Yeah, for sure. Just you've got to make sure you do due diligence and make sure, because like I say, make sure everything's right, because you don't want that to be first and last. That's for sure.
Definitely not. And lastly, to any young coach now starting their coaching career, because of course there are a lot of people that haven't had the playing career you've had that are start coaching a lot younger. What would your advice be to them? So somebody that hasn't experienced everything you have as a player, what would you advise them in terms of the really early stages of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think it's imperative that you've played football at any kind of level to be a good coach. It's the two totally different roles for a start. For me, my advice would be love what you do, because if you don't love it, then you're never going to get the best out of yourself. So you've got to love what you're doing. And also just try and be better all the time. As a player, I always wanted to try, and I was always looking for little ways. What can I do better? And I'm no different as a coach now. So I'm trying to give an example. Yeah. So for example, if a certain scenario crops up and you deal with it with it a certain way, when I come back home, I'll evaluate what I've done, how I've gone about it, and could I improve that? And I do that all the time, with whether it be me going off on letting steam off on a player. Could I handle that a bit better, or did he deserve it? Or on the football side, the coaching side, was my message right? I'm always looking to improve, And I think if you want to be a successful coach and have a long career in coaching, you've always got to be looking to better yourself.
Definitely. I think that's an important message for anybody, whether they've just started coaching, to be honest, or whether maybe they've fallen out of love with it a little bit, and they need to be inspired again. Definitely to want to improve, to want to be better, to be. I think the key point there was to be willing to learn, and be willing to say you're never the best you're going to be, because coaching's a job where, in playing, you're going to get older and you're going to lose things, but coaching, I do honestly think in coaching you never stop learning. You're just going to get better and better.
Do you know what? I think it's unlimited, because the amount of things. Do you know what I've just started doing? There's that many things that enter my head. I've had to buy just a plain book, and everything that enters my head, I'll just write it down, just in this book, just underneath these, because there's so many things, and if I don't write them down, I'll forget them. You see, so everything that enters, I'll just write it down now. Yeah.
I think I have to do that for memory, in all honesty. I'd forget if I didn't write them down. As soon as I have an idea for the next day, and I usually do it at the worst possible times, that I'm falling asleep and I think of something, it's got to go on the paper.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your stories with us today. Obviously, on the playing side, I really hope anyone that's enjoyed listening will head over and listen to your playing career. Obviously, they can search for Non-League Nosh on YouTube and, I want to say, all major streaming platforms. But finally, thanks again so much for sharing it all with us. And I really hope everyone enjoyed listening to the podcast, as taking something away from it.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great. I enjoy talking to people, especially about football, So yeah, really appreciate you guys having me on.